I'm Samantha from Chronicles of the Arcane, and this is my top 10 horror movies. Wanted to introduce myself a little bit, and because I don't like talking about myself, I asked one of my best friends to kind of do an introduction for me, so I'm going to read what she said, because I don't think I'm interesting. This is what she said. She said, quote, "You love learning about everything, you work at a university, you love makeup, you're a licensed cosmetologist," which I am. Scary stuff happens to me sometimes. It's kind of ridiculous, the weird things that happen to me. And I have a bunch of cats that I said I'd never own. And that is also true. I'm not a crazy cat lady, I promise. That's my husband's doing. So that's me. Anyway, so let's just dive right into my top 10 favorite horror movies. Number 10 came out in 2000, and that's Battle Royale. It's classified as an action thriller, but I still think it's kind of a horror just because there's a lot of killing and gore and all that fun stuff. It's based on the 1999 Japanese novel of the same name, and it was extremely controversial for its time. Think Hunger Games minus the love story with a lot more gore. There's a lot of blood in Battle Royale, and there's a lot of adults that just don't give a fuck. If you've never ventured into the J-horror or the K-horror genres because you don't like subtitles, this one is the movie for you because there's hardly any talking and there's a whole lot of stepping on balls and that sort of stuff. So there's that. Number 9, you guys are gonna laugh at me. Saw from 2004, the original. I know what you're thinking. Saw, really? But yes, really. I do not like the entire franchise. But the first one as a standalone is pretty fantastic. You could take out all of the torture aspects and I would still love it just because the twist ending is amazing. I never would have thought it was the old man. Just wouldn't have. Number 8. Rosemary's Baby came out in 1968. It is based off of the 1967 novel by Ira Levin. And it is also very controversial, or it was for its time. Now it's just kind of like, oh, devil baby. But at the time it was extremely controversial. And if you've never seen it and you watch it now, you will be amazed at all of the references to Rosemary's Baby that you missed in all of the years up to now, I guess. It's everywhere, completely submersed in culture now, but that's that one. So number 7 is Insidious. I really wanted to include the entire franchise, but space reasons I could only go with one. So I chose the first one, mainly because of the premise, but also because of Patrick Wilson. He's really a babe. When I went to see this movie in theaters with my best friend, we both freaked out for a good half hour after seeing it. It's just one of those that just gets under your skin, and the song that the demon plays, oh, I can't deal with it. Every time I hear it, my skin crawls. Also, heads up to fans, the third Insidious is set to hit theaters May 29th of 2015. So, yay, more Patrick Wilson, maybe. Number 6 is 28 Days Later from 2002. In my opinion, this movie is a modern zombie classic. I much prefer it over World War Z. 28 Days Later is a winner. In the film, Cillian Murphy's character Jim awakens from a coma in London to find it overwhelmed by the rage virus, which is a huge departure from other zombie films because most of these zombies aren't actually dead. They're human beings that have the rage virus. Also, the soundtrack is hugely recognizable. You might recognize it. The main theme, it's been in Kick-Ass, it's been in some commercials, but it started out in 28 Days Later. Also, one of the main villains, aside from a zombie, happens to be Christopher Eccleston, who was the Ninth Doctor. Of course I love it. The Ninth Doctor is a bad guy. Yeah, so there's that. Number 5 is one a lot of you guys might not have heard of. It's Funny Games from 2007. It is based off of the Austrian film of the same name from 1997. I like both versions. I just prefer the American remake because of Michael Pitt, because that dude is freaking creepy. The film follows a family who's on vacation as they try to survive a night of funny games at the hands of 2 sadistic killers. Do yourself a favor, this movie is fantastic, and you'll have one up on your friends who've never seen it. Number 4 is another Blumhouse production, Sinister, from 2012. Also, again, the premise is what gets me. Sinister had everything I love about horror movies. Creepy kids, creepy soundtrack, and of course the killer premise, and a great cast. The mini films in Sinister by themselves just work their way into your nightmares. I can't look at a lawnmower the same way because of Sinister. So, yeah, I dig Blumhouse Productions. Number 3 is Last House on the Left, and I'm gonna go with the 1972 version. The more recent one just wasn't up to par in my opinion. I didn't particularly like the cast, and also they left out the best part of the original. This is probably one of the most, it probably is the most controversial film on this list. It was one of Wes Craven's first. He wrote and directed it. And it's extremely cringeworthy. If you have a weak stomach, I don't suggest watching it, and it also has several triggers for maybe women who have suffered domestic violence or anything like that. So, fair warning, if you're gonna watch it, that's in there. Anyway, if you can make it through this film without looking away, then you are a tougher person than I, because through most of the movie I was just like, oh, what's happening next? Oh. But it's one of my favorites, and I highly suggest it. It definitely has the best revenge scene of all time. I've told all of my friends about it. I'm not going to mention it here because I don't want to give it away, but once you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Those guys definitely get what they're asking for. Number 2, the only crossover on this list between mine and Jamie's video. This is Shaun of the Dead from 2004. It's actually the only one on my list that's funny as well. Truly, I wish I could put all of the Peg and Wright trilogy on here, but Shaun of the Dead is my favorite. Hot Fuzz and Outworld's End are both fabulous, but Shaun of the Dead is on a whole nother level. Social commentary aside, Shaun of the Dead makes me feel like I could possibly survive the zombie apocalypse. Just because if these assholes can, so can I. Also, who hasn't thought when they're watching a zombie movie, why don't those guys just dress up and pretend to be zombies? Couldn't you walk through the crowd? Of course you could. Simon Pegg did. And that brings me to number 1. Ooh, this is the movie that got me into horror movies. It is the one movie that I could watch probably once a week and never get tired of it. Psycho from 1960. The granddaddy of them all. Most horror movies that you watch probably took some element from this story or production. It's just fabulous. And with this one, again, I'm going with the original, although I actually do like the remake. I think Vince Vaughn is, I think he's actually a pretty good version of Norman Bates. Because it was before he was funny, so he's extremely creepy. It is one of the most well-developed stories. It's extremely plausible because it just takes you into the psychology of that character. This is another one where I wish I could include the entire franchise, and I know a lot of people are thinking, really? The whole franchise? Yeah, the whole franchise. I even like Psycho 4. I'm not gonna lie. It's fantastic. But for the purposes of this list, I'm just going with the first one. And if you've never seen Psycho, you should definitely watch it. But start with the original, because the remake is great, but the original, just the black and white, will creep you out for days. I also wanted to add one noteworthy pick, just because it's one of my favorites. It's not a typical horror movie, but it is a nail biter, and it does have a small amount of gore. This one's going to be Hard Candy from 2005. I don't have enough good things to say about this movie. It's so good. My husband gets scared that I like this movie so much, and if you've ever seen the movie, you'll know why. The movie's best attributes are the line, "I fucking hate gold frap," and also Ellen Page rocking that sweet red hoodie that I kind of have to attribute my fashion choices from probably 2006 to 2008, because I rocked that red hoodie mainly because of her character. And of course Patrick Wilson being super dreamy. I mean creepy, but I also mean dreamy. But yeah, that's Hard Candy. And that was my top 10. Thank you for watching. You should go check out our podcast, because if this is posted, that means that our podcast is coming soon. And yeah, let us know what you think. Let me know what you think about my list. If you haven't watched Jamie's, go over and watch that, because hers is pretty fantastic as well. And happy Halloween. Hi. Is that good?
That was awesome.